What up, Super Fun Force? It's Captain Gamesta, and you guys, I'm excited to do this series. I want to talk about the anime I've been watching. So just as you know, a little bit of a background. I've been watching anime since like the 90s because I'm old school like that, OG. And I'll tell you, when it was like Dragon Ball Z and everything like that, before it was available from the English dub side of things, man, it was so difficult to watch Dragon Ball. So I remember getting my episodes from a friend who was Chinese who had them dubbed in Chinese. So long story short, I would just watch Dragon Ball in the Chinese language, and I would just admire the animation, the stories, and stuff like that, and the characters by what I saw, right? I was never able to get like full translations. And my friends would have like libraries of like Chinese manga, or the manga that would be translated in Chinese, basically. So, anyways, because of that, I kind of watched Dragon Ball sporadically. Eventually I was able to get fan sub versions from conventions before people didn't go to conventions, before there were cosplayers and all of this social media, like cosplay models and everything like that, where it was really just about the people who enjoyed the art form and enjoyed the series and the shows and stuff like that. So that's how I was able to get a hold of like figures. That's how I was able to get a hold of the special OAV movies. And I bought a lot of anime like that. Excuse me, Initial D. I bought all the Initial Ds through third party um, fan subs, Slam Dunk, and so forth. But I was also buying VHS, guys. In case you don't know, I was buying a bunch of like Ranma on VHS, Lotus War, Tenchi, all that great stuff. And then eventually, when it started becoming more popular in the late 90s, early 2000s, I was able to rent them from places like Hollywood Video, Blockbuster, and buy them on DVD eventually. So, anyways, I decided to go back and start to rewatch all of Dragon Ball Z because I remember in the early 2000s when they finally released Dragon Ball. I pretty much finished it all. I watched it in subtitles, and it was just such a special anime to me, even though I had watched it way after I knew about like Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball GT, and it just had that like super RPG Saturday morning cartoon, JRPG video game. It hit all the right notes, and it just was such a joy to watch. So I might even revisit it. I might have actually not even been able to watch the last several episodes because I was renting them from a comic store because they were renting out the DVD. So then I ended up I think moving or something. But anyways, I basically know what happens, and I watched a large portion of all of them. I burned a lot of them back when you had to like burn DVDs too. Um, but I know how it ends basically. I remember I did watch last year the last couple of episodes just to refresh. With the Red Ribbon Army, the final battles and stuff like that. So that was really cool. But I decided to kind of jump back into Dragon Ball Z, and I did remember also after Dragon Ball, I was able to watch a majority of the beginning of the season where it was the main arcs that dealt with like um, the villain Saiyans, right? When like Raditz came, and then Nappa and Vegeta, all the way into the Frieza, right? Frieza with Future Trunks and Mecha Frieza. So what I started to do right now is the Android Saga is what's coming next, but I kind of skipped ahead a little bit because I really like Android 17 and 18 how they are now, but I want to still see some more of Android 16. So I kind of started watching it from the tail end of when Cell was to come because that's one thing I never got to see. I never got to see the full Cell saga or the Majin Buu saga. So I'm definitely gonna watch those. Again, back in the day, I was able to catch glimpses. Like I remember seeing um, snippets from an episode where Vegeta sacrificed himself to try to kill Buu. But again, I never got to watch the whole episode. This is before like YouTube and everything. But now I'm gonna watch them all. So those two arcs. So basically, just to cut into the review really quick and where I am. So I started watching it, and I'm on episode 170. Is the most recent one I watched. A girl named Lime. So let me just start by saying, wow, it was awesome to see Cell come with so much fear and terror, right? And then how he tried to get Android 17 and 18 absorbed, and then 16, who is the only one that's like full robotic, right? To be already so enamored with nature, and that kind of foreshadows 17 later on that we see in I like that in Dragon Ball Super when we find out that Android 17 has become like somewhat of a protector of nature. I think that was a really nice, little touch there. So it was kind of sad to see Android 16 get really messed up and to be pretty weak. Android 17 and 18 came, they defeated Goku and the Z Warriors, Vegeta, Piccolo, all of them, Tianchen Han, Yamcha, Krillin, and stuff like that. But now Cell came into the picture, absorbed 17, and then finally got to 18. As much as they tried to prevent it, and then it was interesting to see how they used the hyperbolic chamber. I think that was the first time, and Vegeta and Trunks went in first. They came out and were the first ones to become SS2, or the advanced Saiyan, as they also called it, right? And Vegeta basically was destroying Cell right after he absorbed 17, and he was supposed to prevent Cell from absorbing 18 to complete the final perfect Cell, right? But Vegeta being Vegeta, he got too full of pride and he said to Cell, like, go ahead because you're too weak. I want to fight you at your full strength. So obviously Trunks didn't like that, and it shocked me because I think I kind of remembered this, but to see Trunks like turn on his father, Vegeta, and try to fight Vegeta to, get to Cell was really exciting and dramatic. And then, with that father-son dynamic, it's always interesting to see because, Goku has a totally different father-son dynamic with Gohan and almost, I guess, a non-existent one with Goten, but we'll talk about that another time. Anyways, so Trunks fails, right? Vegeta gets obviously defeated once Cell becomes perfect, and then Trunks unleashes, his Super Saiyan 2 Advanced Saiyan to try to fight and take on Cell, where Vegeta left off and failed. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to. So then what happened is right now, Cell obviously is now the one who's like, yo, man, can you guys get stronger? Because it was only like, what, a day or something that you guys came back and powered up. And they're just saying, like, Goku and Gohan are still going to come. And he's like, okay, you know what? We're going to do the Cell games. So he, creates this cool arena. And they reference back to the original Dragon Ball, the Tenkaichi Budokai. And basically, he goes into the city. He's always like absorbing and basically killing citizens, sadly. But he does a news broadcast to the world to watch his upcoming Cell Games tournament. That he's going to fight everybody one by one, basically. And he says as he kills them, he wants to beat them one-on-one. But obviously, if someone defeats him, he's like, the advantage, I guess, is on their side because he's not going to get rest or whatever. He's just going to fight them all one by one. And again, his plan is to obviously kill them all. So that was really cool. And Gohan and Goku came out of the hyperbolic chamber, and for the first time, I didn't even realize this back in the day, but they achieved like the relaxed Saiyan state. So their hair got lighter, and I have the SH figure arts for it. The hair is a little bit darker, but it's still awesome. But the eyes, right? So the eyes, they got like tinted blue, and they got the pale yellow hair, so they were able to enter that relaxed state, which Goku said they should do in order to become, better, to train well. And in the meantime, even Piccolo went into the hyperbolic chamber, envisioned the Cell, and then he ended up splitting to fight himself to train to become stronger. And then, of course, right now in this last episode I watched to finish off the Dragon Ball, Gohan meets Lime, and there's like a village, and Mr. Lau, the grandfather, was one of the survivors from Cell's attack on their village, and he's kind of leading a group of survivors. And then Lime was a little girl whose parents were killed, so he's taking care of her. And then there's this villain named Mr. Bourbon, I think, Bourbon or Bourbon, and dude looks like Magenta, right, from the Gohan movie. Anyways, and then Mercenary Tao is there. Mercenary Tao is all messed up, cybernetic head, cybernetic arm, who comes to Bourbon. He's like, yo, hire me. We'll just like, I'll help you, rule these villagers or whatever. So the Mr. Bourbon guy is trying to like be a tyrant and tell all the villagers what to do, boss them around, make them pay him. He's the big boss. He owns their little shelter of survival, little village, whatever. But Mr. Lau stands up to him, right? And then, Gohan's making friends with Lime and stuff like that. And she's telling him things like, oh, he's too gentle to fight Cell because she knows about Cell. And then, they go back to the village, and then Mr. Tao, Mercenary Tao starts fighting Mr. Lau and starts beating him. He told Gohan got there, but he said to Gohan, let me fight him. But, he loses. And then Gohan just Saiyans, and then Mercenary Tao was like, whoa, who are you? He's like, I'm Son Goku. And then Mercenary Tao was like, oh, that means Son Goku's your father? Then we get the flashback to where, like, he remembers young Goku beating him up, and then he tries to hit him with a dynamite, and then Goku kicks it up as, Mercenary Tao tries to jump out, and then that's how he basically almost dies because he gets blown up by the dynamite, which is why we see him now years later with the cybernetic enhancements or whatever. So when he finds out it's Gohan and Son Goku, right? He's like, oh, I'm out of here, so he leaves, and then basically they get the village back. So um, really cool to see, and yeah, things are gearing up, and to me, again, watching Dragon Ball Z and watching retro anime, it makes me appreciate it even so much more. I like it in the style that looks more roughly drawn and organic. Um, and the palette is a little bit more muted, right? Like I miss that contrast of like, because nowadays, excuse me, nowadays all anime is like super bright. It's super like, it's super childish or just super bright. And it doesn't really fit like the more serious ones. I think like the transition happened around, again, I'm digressing a little bit, but the transition happened around the time of Ninja Scroll, which is obviously for adults. But Ninja Scroll still had like a rich, colorful palette, and it was dark because it was very like, I want to say American comic style, dark shadows, but it was a little bit more vibrant than what I would expect from an anime that dark. Because watching things like Fist of the North Star, Hokuto no Ken, Guyver, AD Police Files, like they looked great because they were muted colors and they looked darker, which fit. Dragon Ball is still, gorgeous to look at, and Dragon Ball can definitely be an anime. It should be an anime that would be more colorful. Like that's totally fine. Like Dragon Ball should be super colorful, but seeing it a little bit muted just brings me back to like the aesthetics of retro anime. And Dragon Ball still is colorful. It's just not super bright, right? Like my hat bright, but there's plenty of colors in Dragon Ball. And again, I like Dragon Ball now too being more colorful. I just hope they still find a way to keep blending in the hand drawn style because my favorite Brawly movie from the superhero series is incredible. It's a testament to that. And again, I really really like the superhero movie with Gohan. I like what they did with the CGI, but I still prefer and wish that it was hand drawn, right? So either way, that's where I'm at with Dragon Ball. Now I'm going to finish up a little bit faster with One Piece because so what happened with One Piece is that I got last year. I started watching One Piece and I started reading the manga way back in like 1999 when Shonen Jump came out in America, and we were starting to, again, like I said, the late 90s, early 2000s. Anime was starting to become a thing. It was like comic books, so like only the nerds and the geeks were into it. Again, it was not pop culture. You don't have all these like kind of fake people going around and like pretending to know about anime or like it, or people try to take advantage of social media and talk about being cosplay and talking about they know whatever anime and they like it. I mean, it's good and bad, but that's a different topic. Anyways, so what happened was I've been watching anime, and then from like 2010 to like 20, I don't know, 16, like I was just watching One Piece like every day. I was getting caught up. I took a huge break around 2020-ish, and then last year I started watching. I want to say maybe more like 2019. I took a break from anime in general, and then last year I started watching all the way up, and I got caught up to the Land of Wano. But I kind of watched it sporadically. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to watch it like every day regularly because I was watching an episode or two a day, then I would watch another one in a week and then another week. So it kind of like, even though you can kind of watch it like that, if it started becoming longer and longer, like then maybe 2 weeks, and I only watched like 2 episodes a month, so it just kind of I think ruins the continuity of the story somewhat. So I at least want to watch one a day because I'd also want to get burned out and try to watch like 30 episodes a day. But I think right now, because of the way it's so far ahead and there's a lot of anime I want to watch, I think one a day is fine. And I would definitely not watch it any less than once a week. So right now I'm watching it once a day, but I started with the anniversary episode that was what do they call it? 32DY, the 15th anniversary special episode that kind of recapped a little bit. Like it showed um how they all kind of quickly joined Luffy, and then it went into the movie with Bindi Warudo, and basically finished off with that. So it's getting me right back into Wano, and from there I'm going to keep up with it, and I'll let you guys know. All right, so that was pretty long. I didn't want to go on this long, but I definitely want to talk for maybe about 5 to 10 minutes per video, and just recap right now Dragon Ball Z, and then One Piece, the Wano arc. From here, I'm also going to add Dragon Ball GT, and once I finish Dragon Ball GT, I'm going to watch Dragon Ball Heroes, and then we'll see what happens there. But I know that's Super season 2 is coming out, so I'm super stoked for that. All right, guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you guys think of the Dragon Ball anime? And I definitely recommend, if you haven't seen it all, or you know, it's been like forever, um, go back and watch the original Dragon Ball and then Dragon Ball Z, and then you know, One Piece, of course, is you know, obviously one of the best anime ever. So let me know in the comments what you think. Don't forget, like and subscribe. I'll be talking more about anime. There's obviously a ton of other anime, so maybe I'll start doing other videos where I just talk about other anime that I've watched before, that I'll checked out. Maybe I, you know, didn't really like it too much because, you know, I don't want to make it all about like negative stuff, but I'll maybe talk about some that I tried. But I'll mostly be talking about obviously the ones that I watch and complete and really like. All right, guys, don't forget, keep it faith, say a prayer, spread that love, be positive, be thankful. I'll be coming back at you. Peace.